EGM Network.
This is Martha Matters. From real estate, healthcare, current events, taxes, or just about any topic, we're talking about it. Call us with any questions on just about any subject. Now, here she is, Martha!
Well, hi there, and welcome. Well, continuing the green from our last episode a week ago, let's talk about one more thing that is very, very important if you buy or sell a home, and that is negotiations. And we have a great negotiator right next to me, Holly Billero from the Billero office, who's in the midst of doing that almost with every deal made.
I love negotiating. I think it's in our blood, right, Martha?
Yeah. It is very, very interesting. And it would apply to unfortunately, it applies to our Congress and government right now, at least our federal government, where that does not go on. When both sides have all or nothing, it is very, very difficult to make some changes. And if you're the negotiator, like Holly is, and like I have to be, you have to be very creative, because each side is going to be very hard-nosed on one item, whether it's the price, whether it's a credit for repair or what have you. We've had all kinds of crazy things happening. I've actually had a deal where the seller said the house is being sold as is, which is fine. Everything in it is fine. But the seller removed the entire wine rack in the kitchen. And the seller said, "Oh, I thought that was so beautiful. I'm not buying the house without it." And don't think silly things like that don't happen.
So did you buy the wine rack?
Huh?
Did you buy the wine rack?
Yes.
Yeah.
I bought the wine rack as a realtor and made sure that the buyer had it. And literally, they were very, very happy, and they've been steadfast ever since.
So I have a question about that, Martha and
Yes.
Holly. When you go into a house, how what's the right word? Forefront should the person be saying, I like this house, but I'll buy it because of these kind of things. Because of the swimming pool, because of that wine rack. I'm not going to buy it. The seller doesn't keep that kind of thing.
Missing.
Those kind of things.
Yeah, so we do use a document called a personal property inventory sheet, and where we outline the seller. When we go into a listing, we have the seller figure or list everything out. There's a wine cooler in the library. There's two refrigerators, one in the kitchen, one in the garage. So they should have, the buyer will receive that. They should know going in what they're getting. Mm-hmm. So if they go into a walkthrough and something like the wine cooler is missing, right, and it's supposed to stay, then legally it should be there. Good. So there's avenues then you can go down if they're not willing to bring it back. And right, a lot of times as realtors, we'll bite the bullet and we'll buy the wine rack just to get the deal closed and make everybody happy.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Because, that was your, say you like the way the look of the whole thing was, and you don't know how to put that wine rack in there, and you don't want to spend the extra money. You want to just turnkey walk in there and say, it's all done. This is the way I wanted it. This is why I'm buying it.
Right.
Yes.
That would be very disappointing.
It does get very nitty gritty like that, and it's unfortunate because with negotiating, I say the thing is, what's the goal? The goal is to sell the house.
Yes.
So how can we all negotiate to get to a point where everyone's happy and they get the house and sell the house?
Yes.
So.
Oh, there's so much of that. Jeez.
And what would be off-putting? What would be not to do? Because you're saying that you can basically negotiate for anything. Is that right?
As far as negotiating, you mean?
Yeah.
When a house says, when I meet with the buyer, I'll say, this is the list that the seller has made up. And if somebody wants to buy a painting on the wall, that's considered personal. And if it's not listed, it may not be included. Don't make the mistake as a realtor and say everything that you see stays right here. You're asking for trouble.
Right. So I would say 90% of all deals in Indian River County are on an as-is contract, which means the buyer is accepting the house in as-is condition, but they get the right to inspect. So if they go in and inspect it and then come back to the agent and the seller and say, here's my 61-page list of notes and repairs, I want a bathroom caulked, little minute things, it gets ridiculous. But
it gets ridiculous, but all realtors, or most realtors, I better say, do have a rather qualified handyman who could do a few little things inside of an hour or two, just like that caulking or something else. And it doesn't have to be a big issue.
So when you get an inspection report and it's 61 pages, and I only use that reference because it just happened to me yesterday, and the buyer backed out, and it was such small little things, and I said, can we negotiate this? And they said, no, these are first-time home buyers. They're petrified.
Right.
They are so scared. This list is intimidating.
Right.
So I printed out the list. I went through it with the seller, and I said, this is the most ridiculous thing. So there was like a soap dish that was cracked. Yes, so we re-got it under contract. Our inspection is actually going on right now. I sent my handyman yesterday. I said, can you replace the soap rack? Can you caulk the bathroom? It needed a new air filter. That's $3.
$3.
So I sent my handyman. It was $100, but probably 75% of the items on the list won't come up on this inspection report. That's why a good rule of thumb is always to tell a seller to do a pre-listing inspection. So have an inspector go in. A seller will hire an inspector, have him go in, find all these little things, nip them in the butt, get rid of them. So then when it goes on the market, something like that doesn't derail the deal.
Should go smooth.
And you know what? When you said they were first-time home buyers,
Yes.
that's where I was coming from, because it actually happened to me too.
Yeah.
And I was petrified. I'm barely going to qualify, kind of thing
Exactly.
to get this. I want this house, and what am I going to do if something breaks? I don't have the money to fix it. I don't even know how to fix it.
I know. Well, because
Who
as
do I get some? I
As
don't
a
even know how to-
first-time home buyer, you're saving pennies to buy this house and have the dream of home ownership, and then you're finding all this ridiculous stuff. So that's where a good agent would sit down with you and say, this is what we can do.
Right.
And like I said, with negotiating, the goal, you always say, what is the goal? Do you want the house, Cindy, or do you not?
Right.
Is it worth me negotiating these little things for you or not?
Yeah.
Do you really want the house?
Right. So.
And there is something else. When a buyer really wants a house, they have to be really honest. If they have a credit rating with several charge-offs or something like that, they know they're not going to get any bank mortgage. And if they're buying an estate sale where the person who just passed away is 90 years old, they're not going to give a mortgage. So don't put a realtor through day after day of showing them something on the barrier island or in a lovely community on the mainland, and they can't afford it because of their credit rating. Now, if they're honest and say, look, my credit rating's not the best, but I can't believe I can't find something. Well, before you waste your time and the realtors day after day looking at places, go to a private mortgage company that will be more understanding of certain problems on your credit rating, and they say, look, we'll give you a mortgage up to such and such amount, and we won't contribute toward anything more expensive. And before you start looking, know what you've been pre-approved on getting financing for. And believe it or not, it not only goes faster, but it makes the realtor know what they're doing, you know what you're doing. And I had a case not too long ago, just a couple of months ago, we want to buy this house, and there's no way they could buy any house. They should look for a rental for at least a year because credit ratings can be improved very fast if things are paid off.
Yep.
And don't waste your time and take it out on the realtor and get mad, or waste the realtor's time and they can be helping someone else.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, go ahead.
Let's all sides be cooperative, negotiable, and honest.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems we have to run into in real estate.
I think, too, to be able to afford the house.
Yes.
You know, we're talking about rolling your pennies to get into the whole thing, but at the end of the day, you still have to be able to afford the house as well.
Yes.
You know, and right, sometimes it just gets unrealistic. You want to live on the beach, but you only can afford, you know, $150,000. Well, that day sailed.
They say shoot your shot, but be realistic about it. So I always encourage people, if their budget is $400,000, do $350,000. You don't know what's gonna happen in a year. You might need a new roof, even if the inspection report said you might not. So you always want to have those reserves.
You always need reserves.
But back to the credit thing, a good local lender will sit down with somebody, pull their credit, and say, don't pay off this car, we need this. They'll tell you, they'll sit down and individualize what's going to work for you in your favor to help boost your credit. And a lot of times lately, I have had the lender say, you know, this person needs to rent for a year, like you said, or Cindy said.
Yeah,
you know?
Martha said, yeah. The other thing, too, you just said something important, Holly. You don't want to get as the buyer, you don't want to get your expectations up, because then you're going to be in a bad mood because you really can't afford that house anyway.
I know. It's only going to hurt you. You're trying to live large and outside of your means, and, you know, you have this great new house.
And it comes back to haunt you.
But at the end of the day, you make a house a home. So even a house at $350,000, you're going to make it your own. It's going to be a great place.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's what I did when I went for the cheapest house in the best neighborhood. But that's why I did it. I wanted to be in that neighborhood, and I couldn't afford one that was $40,000 more than what mine was.
Exactly.
There's no way.
And if you're buying a home, you're already getting ahead.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So don't let the money part, you know, just be cognitive.
And the other thing, don't be upset if you can't fix everything to your liking in 1 year.
Yeah.
The values go up.
Touche.
But be careful. Don't overborrow what you can't pay back.
Yeah, that's what my main goal was when I bought my house. I don't want to overborrow, and I'll have to live with a chipped tub for 5 or 10 years or whatever until I can fix it. Get a good fix. Yeah.
We don't want to live in financial ruins, do we?
No.
So
That's your worst nightmare.
Smart decisions, and it's also always ask a professional. Say, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I upgrade the kitchen?
Yeah.
Ask a realtor. We're more than happy to give you our professional opinion.
And ask opinions of realtors or the same office or anything else. Anybody would be glad to help you. But don't over ask people on the street who act like they know what they're saying and you don't know them. You can get bum steers a lot of times also.
Yeah, that comes with asking friends, too. I've made that mistake.
Yes.
Well, they're in different areas, so they don't know what our area is, kind of thing.
Real estate is local.
Yeah, real estate's local.
Real estate is local.
I should have remembered that.
Local.
Yeah. So about going back to the negotiation, is it open for negotiation for anything, or are you going to talk yourself out of the house as far as the seller gets mad at you?
No, but little things. It's even for first-time home buyers. It's not the first time that your agent is looking at the closing statement. Everybody that you trust, or your mom and dad may attend and give you advice. But make sure people know what they're doing. I've had a lot of closings, not a lot, I'd say about maybe 6 in the last few years, where they didn't use a Florida closing agent like our title companies. Instead, they got a couple of attorneys who are general attorneys. That is, they do criminal investigation, they do and financial matters, other things. They don't do closings all the time. And I'll give you an example, just one example. Let's say you're closing March 30th, but if you don't complete the closing of the mortgage company, you may need a month extension. So you don't close till April 30th or May 30th. That's fine. But when taxes were prorated for the end of March and you close the end of April and you don't change the proration, the seller is renting out. They have the property for another month, but you're paying taxes on them enjoying being another month in the house instead of an honest relationship. You have to know. And the biggest problem I've had is people who've used general attorneys rather than real estate attorneys. They are not going to be specific on the closing documents. Oh, this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. It sure does.
Yeah.
And the title companies are very, very good about that in Florida. Hardly a mistake ever.
So it comes down to when you receive a contract, there's a place on it that says, it specifies who's paying for title, the seller or the buyer. A good agent sees that. In our county, Indian River County, usually the seller pays title, which would mean the seller selects the title company. A good agent will help navigate the seller through that process to make sure that the proper place is picked to get the deal closed,
right,
to find the liens, to find the payoffs, to help the buyer and seller navigate to the closing table. But the first step is to make sure you have a good realtor who looks on the contract and sees who's paying title, and then you take it from there.
Yes.
And then if you do use an attorney, which you have every right in the state of Florida to use an attorney, it's not common practice like it is up north where you have attorney review. A lot of northern clients come here and they say, well, we need an attorney. And you have to explain to them, in Florida, we don't really use attorneys to close it. We use title companies.
We're a title
But you're more
state.
than welcome to get an attorney's opinion, and here are real estate attorney recommendations. So we don't want attorneys who are handling someone who fell in Publix or something.
Right.
We need a true real estate attorney representing them.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is very, very important, because some attorneys have been a friend of yours, relatives for life, and they take care of estates and other things. But if they don't do real estate closings...
They should be nowhere near the real estate deal.
Right.
Nip them in the butt.
Well, based on that, don't forget what we just said. Stay with us. We're going to have a quick break, and we'll be back.
Healthy retirement starts at Treasure Coast Community Health. Short waits, easy scheduling, on-site services, wellness visits, chronic care management, and same-day sick visits. Call 772-257-8224 or visit tcchinc.org.
Is your pool losing its cool and its water? Don't let your money drain into the dirt. At Leak Seekers FLA, we'll find and repair your pool leak fast. Visit leakseekersfla.com. Not just leaks, but resurfacing, equipment, and more. Leakseekersfla.com. Let us take a peek and find the pool leak.
Carmina Burana, one of the most electrifying and recognizable choral orchestral works ever written. The Vero Beach Choral Society, alongside the Indian River Charter High School and backed by a 60-piece orchestra, directed by Dr. Jacob Craig, presents Carl Orff's Carmina Burana. Don't miss this special performance on Tuesday, April 14th at 7:30 p.m. at the St. Edward's School Waxlax Center for the Performing Arts. For details, visit VeroBeachChoralSociety.org.
On a cold and enchanted winter night, love is in the air under the mystical glow of the aurora borealis. Hearts break, sparks fly, strangers become friends, friends become lovers, and, well, that's where the magic happens. Almost Maine, a charming, funny, and deeply romantic comedy about love, longing, and second chances. Beginning March 24th on the Waxlax stage. Get your best seats now at the box office or riversidetheater.com.
Boy, we have good advertising. I was seeing all those lobsters.
We're back, Martha.
I know we're
I
back.
miss the lobsters.
I know we're back. Here, tell us very quickly, in a nutshell, what to look for, and don't be afraid to ask for closing advice and what to look for. Realtors will gladly give it. Title companies will gladly explain it to you.
So I think, we talk about negotiating and everyone's mind goes right to, will you fix this wood rot? Will you fix this sink? But a lot of times a good rule of thumb is to say, I'd like a credit and I'll do it myself. So you can go into a contract when you present an offer and ask for closing cost assistance. Usually if you ask a seller to put $10,000 towards your closing costs, it's better than asking for a lower price on the contract.
Yes.
So it'll go the money will stretch much longer if you ask for closing cost assistance, and then you don't have to bring that $10,000 to closing. So that's one good thing that we usually try to help people with. And a second thing is after the inspection, if there is a big thing like a roof or something, but the buyer really wants the house, they'll ask the seller for a credit. And a lot of times the seller is already invested in the contract. They just want to be done with it. And a lot of times, more times than not, they'll give the buyer that credit.
Yeah.
So don't be, I always say to people, don't be afraid to ask for things that might sound ridiculous, but the only thing they can say is no. At least we'll know we tried.
And also don't get stuck. If the roof actually costs $11,500 and the seller's willing to give you a $10,000 credit, so
you're probably going to get 5 years on that life, so you'll have that $10,000 in your pocket to kind of work on other things until you really do need to do the roof.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't get stuck on, I want the entire cost only. You've got to use some common sense on this, and you will end up being a head.
And you need a whippersnapper on your side.
Yes, you do. The whippersnapper is your realtor.
Yeah, and sometimes people call it penny wise and dollar foolish.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That you're going to ask for the bathtub when you really should be asking for the roof, or you should be saying, I need a new,
AC.
Yeah, something like that. Definitely.
Yeah, I usually focus on the big ticket items, those little lists of minute things. Forget about it if you can get a roof or an AC.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck on it.
Because what's your option to build your house from scratch? And that's the nightmare no one wants.
That's true.
I could vouch for that, yes. It always costs at least $200,000 more than you think it's going to cost to build a house.
Right,
so that's another conversation for another Martha Matters.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a show in itself. Plus all the gray hair you get from all of it.
Also, keep in mind, if you have any question whatsoever, like the biggest thing on closing statements are fees. Fees are an expense, but what an expense for what? Don't be afraid to ask what it is and what it's all about. That is absolutely essential. Please don't be silent because you don't want to look dumb.
Again, that comes back to the realtor, too, because a realtor receives a settlement statement at least 2 to 3 days before the closing.
Correct.
And a good realtor will go and itemize every single thing that the buyer or seller is being charged. And if there's a concern or a question, they bring it up to the title company first and then bring it back to their buyer.
Correct.
There's never an issue if you can solve it before it gets to the hands of the buyer or the seller.
Yes, and before you get to closing.
We have to mitigate that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it makes it, it just makes it more friendly to not have to worry about that stuff. As a buyer, I wouldn't know any of that.
Right. You wouldn't know.
I don't know what to ask.
A person of the public. So let the person that does it every day, who's it's very important to pick wisely when picking a realtor.
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I remember I could go through the nightmares. We could have 10 shows on what I went through. But you know what? I did heed your advice with negotiating for the air conditioning, the roof, the termite tenting and all that stuff. And it does work. I'm here to tell you it does work.
I think we should do a show because I'd be glued to that one.
Yes.
You should do a show on those issues.
Yes.
Well, because if you're facing the things, there's more than likely a million other people too.
Oh,
so.
yes.
Well, I did what you guys said. I was, we got to go now, but I was, friendly and whatever and said, okay, I can't do this, but I can do this. I can't do that. And the seller negotiated.
Okay.
And I got in the house.
That's good. That's all that counts.
Yeah,
if you remember nothing else, remember, ask questions. No question is stupid.